The empty ship floated in the darkness of space like a dead fish in a dark ocean. Commander Vorik stood on the bridge of his warship and looked at the scanner screen. The old Earth vessel was damaged and silent. No power, no signals, just metal and memories drifting through the void. "Sir, the scanner is showing something strange," said Officer Minho, his voice uncertain. He was young and nervous, fresh from the academy. Vorik walked over and looked at the screen. Red letters flashed across the display. The message was clear and urgent. "Warning. Earthborn detected. Do not engage. Retreat immediately." Vorik laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound that filled the bridge. His officers looked at each other with worried faces, but Vorik just kept laughing. "Earthborn," he said, shaking his massive head. "The humans are gone. Dead. Extinct. This warning is old computer code from a war that ended 200 years ago." "But sir," Minho said carefully, "the protocols say we should follow all safety warnings. Perhaps we should call for additional support before—" "Additional support?" Vorik interrupted. He turned to face the young officer. Vorik was nearly 3 meters tall, with thick gray skin and 4 powerful arms. His species, the Talaxians, had conquered 17 star systems. They feared nothing. For what, a ghost? A memory? The other officers on the bridge stayed quiet. They knew better than to argue with their commander. Vorik looked back at the floating ship. It was small, maybe a colony vessel or a transport. The hull was scarred with blast marks and meteor impacts. One section was torn open, exposing the dark interior to space. "Scan for life signs," Vorik ordered. Minho worked the controls. His fingers moved quickly over the holographic interface. After a moment, he looked up with surprise on his face. "Sir, there's one life sign. Very faint. In the cryo bay." Vorik smiled. His teeth were sharp and yellow. "One survivor. After all these years," he turned to his crew. "Prepare a boarding team. We're going inside." "Commander," said Officer Jiwan, the security chief. She was older than Minho and had seen actual combat. "The warning is very specific. Perhaps we should at least scan the survivor first. Identify what we're dealing with." Vorik waved one of his hands dismissively. "I know what we're dealing with. A weak, fragile human. Their species was pathetic, small, soft, no natural weapons, no real strength." He started walking toward the exit. "That's why they're extinct. The galaxy has no place for weakness." The boarding team assembled in the docking bay. 6 soldiers, all Talaxian, all heavily armed and armored. Their exoskeletons made them even larger and stronger. Energy rifles hung from their shoulders. Combat knives as long as human forearms were strapped to their belts. Vorik led them across the gap between ships. Their magnetic boots clanked against the metal airlock of the Earth vessel. G1 cut through the sealed door with a plasma torch. The metal glowed orange, then red, then white. Finally, it fell inward with a hollow crash. The inside of the ship was cold and dark. Their helmet lights cut through the shadows. Frost covered the walls. The air had leaked out long ago, leaving only vacuum and silence. They moved through empty corridors, past crew quarters with personal items still floating in zero gravity, past a mess hall where dried food packets drifted like autumn leaves, past cargo holds filled with supplies that no one would ever use. The cryo bay was at the ship's center. It was a large room with 20 pods arranged in 2 rows. 19 of them were dark and empty. The 20th glowed with a soft blue light. Vorik approached it slowly. The others spread out around the room, checking corners and doorways. Inside the pod was a woman. She was small, maybe 160 centimeters tall. Her skin was pale from years in stasis. Dark hair spread around her head like a black cloud. She wore a simple gray jumpsuit. Her hands were folded over her chest. "Look at her," Vorik said softly. "So tiny, so fragile." He placed one massive hand against the pod's glass. "How did creatures like this ever think they could survive in the galaxy?" "Sir, we should transport the entire pod back to the ship," G1 suggested. "We can wake her up in our medical bay, under controlled conditions." Vorik shook his head. "No, I want to see her face when she wakes up. I want her to know immediately that she's the last one, that her species is dead and forgotten." "Commander, I really think—" "Open it," Vorik ordered. G1 hesitated, then nodded to Minho. The young officer connected a portable power unit to the pod's control panel. The lights flickered. The pod hummed and hissed. Frost began to melt on the glass. Slowly, the woman's eyes opened. They were dark brown, almost black. They stared straight ahead, unfocused at first. Then they moved, taking in the room, the soldiers, the weapons. Finally, her eyes settled on Vorik. He saw no fear there. No panic, no confusion. Just a cold, calculating awareness. The pod opened with a soft click. Warm air rushed out, creating tiny crystals in the frozen atmosphere. The woman didn't move at first. She just breathed, her chest rising and falling steadily. "Hello, human," Vorik said. His translator converted his words into English. "Welcome back to the living. Though I'm afraid the universe you knew is gone." The woman slowly sat up. Her movements were careful and controlled. She looked at her hands, flexing her fingers. Then she looked at Vorik again. "You opened the pod," she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "The warning told you not to." Vorik laughed again. "Warnings from dead people mean nothing." "I'm not dead," the woman said. "Not yet," Vorik agreed. "But your species is. You're alone, the last human in the galaxy." He reached toward her with one massive hand. "Come, you belong to me now. A curiosity. A museum piece." The woman looked at his approaching hand. She tilted her head slightly as if calculating something. "My name is Hana," she said. Then she moved. Vorik had fought in dozens of battles. He had killed warriors from 6 different species. He had reflexes enhanced by military implants and a body strengthened by genetic modification. None of it mattered. Hana's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. Her grip was impossibly strong. Before he could react, she twisted and pulled. Vorik's balance shifted. He stumbled forward. Her other hand came up and struck his throat. The exoskeleton armor should have protected him. It was designed to withstand energy blasts and blade strikes, but Hana's fingers found the gap where the helmet met the chest plate. They dug into the soft tissue beneath. Vorik felt his windpipe collapse under the pressure. He tried to pull away, but she held him. He swung his other arms at her, but she moved inside his reach. Her knee came up and shattered his ribs. The armor cracked like glass. The entire attack took 3 seconds. Vorik fell to his knees, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Blood filled his throat. His vision darkened at the edges. Hana stood over him. There was no anger in her expression. No satisfaction. Just cold efficiency. "You should have listened to the warning," she said quietly. Vorik died, looking into her dark eyes, finally understanding why the galaxy had been so afraid of humans. The other soldiers stood frozen, their weapons still holstered. They had watched their commander die before any of them could react. Hana turned to face them. She was breathing steadily, calmly. Blood covered her hands, but her expression remained neutral. "Who's next?" she asked. In the silence that followed, the red warning lights began flashing again throughout the ship. The scanner had been right all along. Earthborn detected. "Do not engage. Do not engage. Do not engage." The 5 remaining soldiers didn't move. They stared at Hana like she was a ghost made real. Their commander lay dead at her feet, his armor cracked and useless. Jiwan was the first to break the silence. She slowly raised her hands, showing they were empty. "We don't want to fight you," she said carefully. Hana watched them all. Her eyes moved from face to face, reading their expressions, measuring the distance between them. "Then leave," she said simply. "We will," Jiwan promised. She gestured to the others. Back to the airlock, slowly. The soldiers began moving backward, keeping their eyes on Hana. Nobody reached for their weapons. Nobody made sudden movements. They had all seen what happened when someone underestimated the small human woman. Hana didn't follow them. She just stood there, blood drying on her hands, watching them go. When the airlock sealed behind them, she finally moved. She walked to a wall panel and touched it. Nothing happened. The ship had no power except for the cryopod's emergency battery. She was alone again. Alone on a dead ship in the darkness of space. Back on the Talaxian warship, Jiwan sent an immediate report to Admiral Tazan. He was the fleet commander for this entire sector. His ship was 3 days away at maximum speed. The Admiral read the report 3 times. Then he called Jiwan on the video link. His face appeared on her screen. He looked old and tired, with scars crossing his gray skin. "You're telling me that one unarmed human female killed Commander Vorik?" he asked. His voice was flat and disbelieving. "Yes, sir," Jiwan said, in less than 5 seconds. His armor meant nothing. "Impossible," Tazan muttered. "Vorik was one of our best warriors. Enhanced strength. Combat training. Full tactical armor." He paused. And a human woman killed him with her bare hands? Yes, sir. I saw it happen. Tazan was quiet for a long moment. The old warnings, he finally said. I always thought they were exaggerated. Propaganda from the war. Stories to scare children. They're not stories, sir, Jiwan said quietly. No, Tazan agreed. Apparently not. He straightened in his chair. Captain Rylock is 2 hours from your position. He'll take over command. Secure that ship. Capture the human. Use whatever force is necessary, but I want her alive. Sir, I strongly recommend we just destroy the ship from orbit. It's not worth the risk. Negative, Tazan said firmly. If humans survived, we need to know where they are. How many? What they're planning. That woman has information we need. He leaned forward. Besides, she's one small human. Rylock will have a full platoon. 40 soldiers. She can't fight them all. Jiwan wanted to argue, but she knew it was useless. Yes, sir, she said. 2 hours later, Captain Rylock's ship arrived. He was younger than Vorik had been, but just as confident. He listened to Jiwan's report with a skeptical expression. You're sure you didn't miss something? He asked. Some weapon? Some hidden advantage? She used only her hands, sir, Jiwan insisted. Rylock nodded slowly. Well, my soldiers won't make the same mistake Vorik did. We'll be prepared. He gathered his platoon in the docking bay. 40 soldiers, all in full combat armor. Energy rifles charged and ready. Stun grenades on their belts. Listen carefully, Rylock told them. The target is a human female. She's dangerous, but she's not invincible. Keep your distance. Use ranged weapons. Stay in formation. If she moves toward you, fall back and let others cover you. Understand? The soldiers nodded. They looked confident. They had trained for years. They had the best equipment. They outnumbered her 40-1. They crossed to the Earthship and entered through the same airlock. The corridors were still dark and cold. Their boots echoed on the metal floors. Spread out, Rylock ordered. Teams of 4. Search every room. She's probably hiding in the cargo bay or engineering. Find her. The team split up and moved through the ship. They checked crew quarters, storage rooms, the medical bay, the bridge. All empty. Team 7 here. A voice crackled over the radio. We found her. Cargo bay 3. All teams converge on that location, Rylock commanded. Surround the bay. Don't let her escape. When Rylock arrived at the cargo bay, his soldiers had formed a semicircle around the entrance. Inside, he could see Hana standing among tall stacks of supply crates. She looked small and alone in the large space. Rylock activated his external speakers. Human. I am Captain Rylock. You're surrounded by 40 armed soldiers. You cannot escape. Surrender now and you won't be harmed. Hana turned to look at him. Her face was calm. You're lying, she said. I'm not, Rylock insisted. We just want to talk to you. Find out what happened to your people. Where they are now. My people are dead, Hana said. You know that. You were there. I wasn't there, Rylock said. That war ended before I was born. But your people were there, Hana said. Her voice was still calm, but something hard had entered it. The Talaxian Empire watched Earthborn. You watched our colony ships flee and did nothing to help. Some of you even attacked the refugee vessels, took survivors as slaves. Rylock felt uncomfortable. The history lessons about the human extinction had always been vague. Nobody liked to talk about what really happened. That was a long time ago, he said. Things are different now, are they? Hana asked. She took a step forward. Then why did you send 40 soldiers to talk to one unarmed woman? For our protection, Rylock said honestly. Hana smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. At least you're honest about that. She looked around at all the soldiers. How many of you are there? Enough to ensure your safety, Rylock said. He meant it. He didn't want to hurt her. He just wanted to complete his mission. Hana nodded slowly. I see. She was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then she asked another question. Did any of you read Earth's history? Before the war? Some, Rylock admitted. Your species fought many wars among yourselves. We did, Hana agreed. We fought with sticks and stones, then with swords and spears, then with guns and bombs, then with nuclear weapons that could destroy entire cities. She paused. Do you know why we fought so much? Because you were violent, Rylock said. Because we refused to give up, Hana corrected. Every time someone tried to conquer us, we fought back. Every time someone tried to destroy us, we survived. We learned. We adapted. Her eyes moved across the soldiers. That's what humans do. We survive. Not anymore, Rylock said gently. Your species is gone. No, Hana said. I'm still here. Then she moved. The nearest soldier was 3 meters away. Hana covered the distance before he could raise his rifle. She grabbed the weapon and twisted it. The soldier's finger was still on the trigger. The energy blast went wild, hitting another soldier across the bay. Hana used the rifle like a club, smashing it into the first soldier's helmet. The reinforced glass cracked. He fell. Fire, fire! Rylock shouted. Energy blasts filled the cargo bay. They lit up the darkness like lightning. Most missed Hana completely. She was too fast, moving between the crates and the soldiers. The blast that did hit her seemed to have little effect. She rolled with them, letting the energy dissipate across her body instead of concentrating in one spot. A soldier tried to tackle her. She dropped low and swept his legs. When he fell, she stomped on his neck. The armor held, but the force of the blow knocked him unconscious. Another soldier came at her with a combat knife. Hana caught his wrist and broke it with a sharp twist. She took the knife and used it on him, finding the gaps in his armor just like she'd found the gaps in Vorik's. Stun grenades, someone shouted. 3 grenades arced through the air toward Hana. She saw them coming and dove behind a crate. The explosions rocked the cargo bay. Bright light and deafening sound filled the space. When the noise faded, Rylock looked for Hana's body. Instead, he saw her climbing up the crates, moving toward the ceiling. She's above us. The soldiers tried to track her, but she was too fast. She jumped from crate to crate like a shadow. When she was directly above a group of soldiers, she dropped down among them. What followed was chaos. Hana moved like water, flowing around their attacks, finding weaknesses, striking with devastating precision. She used their own weapons against them. She used their numbers against them. In the confined space, the soldiers couldn't shoot without risking hitting their comrades. Rylock tried to get a clear shot, but Hana was always behind another soldier, using them as shields. He saw her break arms and legs. He saw her disable weapons. He saw soldiers fall one after another. He fired anyway. The blast caught Hana in the chest and threw her backward. She hit a crate hard and fell to the ground. Got her, someone shouted, but Hana was getting up. Slowly, painfully, but getting up. Her jumpsuit was burned. Her skin underneath was red and blistered. Blood ran from her nose. But she stood. How? Rylock whispered. Hana looked at him. Because I'm human, she said. We don't stop. She rushed forward. Rylock fired again, but she dodged. She reached him and grabbed his rifle, pulling it from his hands. Then she turned it around and pointed it at his face. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Then Hana pulled the trigger. The blast took Rylock in the head. His helmet exploded. He fell without a sound. The remaining soldiers broke and ran. They scattered through the ship, heading for the airlock. Hana didn't chase them. She just stood there, bleeding and burned, watching them go. When they were gone, she dropped the rifle and sat down heavily. Her hands were shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off and the pain was catching up. She looked at the bodies around her. 23 soldiers dead. The others would spread the word. They would tell everyone what Admiral Tazan stared at the reports on his screen. 2 failed boarding attempts, 2 commanders dead, 46 soldiers dead or wounded, all killed by one human woman who shouldn't even exist. He sat in his command chair and rubbed his tired eyes. The bridge crew worked quietly around him, but he could feel their fear. News had spread through the fleet. Everyone knew about the Earthborn who killed with her bare hands. Tazan made a decision. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. 60 warships received his signal. 60 captains saw his face appear on their screens. This is Admiral Tazan. We have a situation. A human survivor has been found on a derelict colony ship. She has proven extremely hostile and dangerous. I'm ordering a full military blockade. Surround the vessel at maximum weapons range. Nobody goes in. Nobody comes out. Prepare for orbital bombardment on my command. The fleet moved into position. 60 massive warships formed a sphere around the small Earth vessel. Their weapons locked on target. Energy cannons charged. Missile tubes loaded. Tazan opened a direct communication channel to the Earthship. He projected his image and voice into the cargo bay where Hana waited. She was sitting on a crate, wrapping torn fabric around her burned chest. She looked up when his hologram appeared. Human, Tazan said. His voice was calm and reasonable. I am Admiral Tazan, commander of the Talaxian 7th Fleet. You are completely surrounded. 60 warships have you in their sights. You cannot fight us all. You cannot escape. Hana finished tying the bandage. Is there a point to this conversation? She asked. Surrender, Tazen said. Come out peacefully. I promise you will be treated humanely. You'll receive medical care, food, water, a place to live. Hana laughed. It was a bitter sound. Your promises mean nothing to me. Why not? Tazen asked. I'm offering you a chance to live. My people trusted promises once, Hana said. She stood up slowly, wincing from her injuries. We trusted the galaxy would welcome us, would trade with us, would leave us in peace. She walked closer to the hologram. Where are they now, Admiral? Where is Earth? Tazen was silent for a moment. Your planet destroyed itself. Your people fought wars that... Lies, Hana interrupted. We had wars, yes. But we were healing. We were uniting. We were ready to join the galactic community. Her voice grew harder, and the galaxy decided we were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too likely to upset the balance of power. That's not what happened, Tazen protested, isn't it? Hana asked. Tell me, Admiral. When the first nuclear weapons fell on Earth, where was the galaxy? When our cities burned, where was the help? When our refugee ships fled, where was the sanctuary? Tazen didn't answer. He knew the history even if he didn't like it. The galaxy had watched Earth burn and done nothing. Some species had even profited from it, raiding the refugee ships for slaves and technology. We trusted your promises, Hana continued. We believed in galactic law. We believed in treaties and agreements. We were wrong. She stepped even closer to the hologram until she was almost touching it. You didn't destroy my species because we were evil. You destroyed us because you were afraid. Afraid of what? Tazen asked. Of what we could become, Hana said simply. Humans don't give up, Admiral. We adapt, we overcome. We survive things that would destroy other species. You saw that in us and it terrified you. Tazen felt a chill run down his spine. She was right, though he would never admit it out loud. The classified reports from 200 years ago made it clear. The Galactic Council had debated the human question for years. Some species wanted to welcome humanity. Others wanted to contain them. A few wanted to eliminate them entirely. In the end, they chose the middle path. They would let humanity destroy itself and simply watch it happen. No direct action. No obvious genocide. Just careful manipulation and strategic inaction. That was 2 centuries ago, Tazen said. I wasn't alive. My generation wasn't responsible. But you benefit from it, Hana said. Your empire expanded into Earth's former territories. You took our resources. You studied our technology. You built your power on our graves. What do you want from me? Tazen asked. An apology? Revenge? What? Hana was quiet for a long moment. She looked around at the cargo bay, at the bodies of the soldiers she'd killed, at the dead ship that was her only shelter. I want my people back, she said softly. I want Earth restored. I want humanity to have another chance. She looked back at the hologram. But I can't have any of that. So I'll settle for something else. What? Tazen asked. I want the galaxy to remember, Hana said. I want every species to know that humans existed, that we fought, that we refused to disappear quietly. Her eyes were hard and bright. I want you to be afraid of us again. You're one person, Tazen said. How can one person make the galaxy afraid? Hana smiled. Watch me. She walked over to a control panel on the wall. Her fingers moved quickly across the dead interface. Nothing happened at first. Then lights began flickering. Deep in the ship's core, old systems were waking up. What are you doing? Tazen demanded. This colony ship has a fusion reactor, Hana explained. It's been dormant for decades, but the fuel is still good. I'm bringing it back online. Stop that immediately, Tazen ordered. You'll destroy the ship. Yes, Hana agreed. She kept working. The reactor will overload in about 3 minutes. The explosion will be quite large, big enough to take out several of your warships if they're too close. Tazen felt panic rising. You'll die too. Probably, Hana said calmly. But I've been alone on this dead ship for too long. I'm tired, Admiral. Tired of fighting. Tired of surviving. Tired of being the last one left. Wait, Tazen said. Just wait. We can talk about this. I can offer you protection. I can help you find other humans if they exist. Hana shook her head. I told you. Your promises mean nothing. The reactor hummed louder. The ship began to vibrate. 2 minutes, all ships pull back, Tazen shouted to his fleet. Emergency retreat now. The warships began moving away from the Earth vessel. Their engines flared bright as they accelerated. But 60 large ships couldn't turn quickly. They were like whales trying to swim away from a predator. "Please," Tazan said to Hana, "don't do this. Your death won't bring your people back." "No," Hana admitted, "but it will remind you that humans don't surrender. We don't accept defeat. We fight until there's nothing left to fight with, and then we fight with whatever remains." She moved away from the control panel. The sequence was locked in now. Nothing could stop it. That's what makes us human, Admiral. That's what your species tried to destroy, and that's what still scares you. The reactor's hum became a roar. The ship's hull groaned under the stress. Warning lights flashed throughout the vessel. "1 minute," Hana said. She walked to a small porthole and looked out at the stars. "Tell me something, Admiral. Do you have any human artifacts in your museums? Any records of our art, our music, our literature?" "Some," Tazan said. He was watching the countdown on his own screens. His ships were still too close. They wouldn't all make it out in time. "Good," Hana said. "Make sure people see them. Make sure they know we were more than just warriors. We were painters and poets. We were scientists and dreamers. We loved and laughed and cried and hoped." She touched the cold glass of the porthole. "We were people, Admiral. Just like you. We deserved better than extinction." "I'm sorry," Tazan said. "He meant it." 30 seconds, Hana said. "You should close the channel now. The explosion might damage your communication systems. Will you survive?" Tazan asked. He didn't know why he cared, but he did. Hana smiled. "I'm human, Admiral. We always survive." She looked at a small object she pulled from her pocket. It was a data chip. "I have an escape pod, ancient, barely functional. But it might work." "The coordinates," Tazan said. "You have coordinates to other humans." "Maybe," Hana said. "Or maybe it's just empty space. Either way, I'm going to find out." 10 seconds, the computer announced. "Goodbye, Admiral," Hana said. "Remember this conversation. Remember that you spoke to the last human. Or the first of many. Time will tell." The channel cut off. 5 seconds later, the Earth ship's reactor went critical. The explosion was massive. A miniature star born and dying in the span of a heartbeat. The shockwave caught 3 warships that hadn't retreated far enough. Their shields failed. Their hulls buckled. They went dark and silent. When the light faded and the sensors cleared, there was nothing left of the Earth ship. Just debris and radiation. But Admiral Tazan's scanners picked up something else. A small object moving fast, pushed by the explosion's force. An escape pod. Ancient Earth design. Barely holding together. Inside was Hana, unconscious but alive. The pod's trajectory took it toward a debris field near the galactic rim. The sensors couldn't track it for long. It disappeared into the radiation belt, lost among the rocks and dust. Tazan stood on his bridge and stared at the empty space where the pod had vanished. He had a choice to make. He could order his ships to search for her, to hunt her down and finish this, or he could let her go. He thought about their conversation, about her words, about the fear in his own heart when he realized what one human could do. "Sir?" his tactical officer asked. "Should we pursue?" Tazan was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "No, update the warning systems. Add new data to the Earthborn protocols. Make sure every shoe." The escape pod crashed on Valon Prime 3 days after the explosion. It came down hard in a scrapyard on the edge of the city, crumpling metal and sending up a cloud of dust. Nobody noticed. Crashes happened all the time in this part of the planet. Hana woke up to pain and darkness. Her ribs hurt where Rylock had shot her. Her head throbbed from the explosion. Her throat was dry as sand. But she was alive. She kicked open the pod's door and crawled out into the weak sunlight. The sky was orange here, filtered through the planet's thick atmosphere. 2 moons hung visible in the daytime sky. Around her, mountains of broken machines and old ships stretched in every direction. The scrapyard was massive, a graveyard for technology from 100 worlds. Perfect place to hide. Hana took stock of her situation. No weapons, no money, no identification. Her clothes were burned and torn. She had a data chip in her pocket with coordinates to something, maybe nothing. And she was on a planet full of aliens who would kill her if they realized what she was. First priority was water, then food, then clothing that wouldn't draw attention. She started walking through the scrapyard. Her body protested every step, but she ignored it. Pain was temporary. Survival was essential. After an hour, she found a water recycler, half buried in the trash. It was old and broken, but the tank still held some liquid. She tested it carefully. Clean enough. She drank until her stomach hurt. Food was harder. The scrapyard had no organic material. Everything was metal and plastic and ceramic. But scrapyards had workers, and workers ate lunch. Hannah found a small shelter where the workers took breaks. She waited until they were gone, then slipped inside. There were containers of food on a table, strange colors and textures, but food was food. She ate quickly, taking only enough to survive. No point making people suspicious. The clothing came from a locker room, a simple gray coverall and boots. They were too big, but she rolled up the sleeves and pant legs. Now she looked like any other worker. By evening, Hannah walked out of the scrapyard and into the city proper. Phalon Prime was a trade world, neutral ground where hundreds of species came to buy and sell. The streets were crowded with beings of all shapes and sizes, tall ones and short ones with fur and ones with scales, ones that walked and ones that slithered and ones that floated. Nobody looked at Hannah twice. In a city of aliens, she was just another alien. She needed information. Where was she exactly? What was the political situation? Were there more humans alive? A public terminal gave her some answers. Phalon Prime was in the outer rim, far from the major empires. The date surprised her. She'd been in cryosleep for 173 years, almost 2 centuries. The terminal had historical records. She searched for Earth. The official story was simple. Humanity had destroyed itself in nuclear wars. A few refugee ships escaped, but they were lost. No survivors. Hannah knew that was a lie. Her ship had been a refugee vessel, and her mother had given her the data chip with coordinates. Coordinates to what? Other survivors? A hidden colony? She looked at the chip in her hand. The coordinates pointed to a location in the radiation belt near the fringe. It would take weeks to get there on a commercial ship, if she could even afford passage. That night, Hannah slept in an alley behind a food market. It wasn't comfortable, but she'd slept in worse places. Actually, she couldn't remember sleeping in worse places. The cryopod had been her bed for most of her life. Dreams came, bad ones, fire falling from the sky, her mother pushing her into the pod. The last thing her mother said, "Remember who you are, Hannah. Remember that humans don't give up." She woke before dawn with tears on her face. The next few days followed a pattern. Hannah found odd jobs that paid in cash, loading cargo, cleaning storage units, repairing equipment. The work was hard, but she was strong. Stronger than the locals expected. She saved every credit, ate little, slept less. Slowly, she accumulated enough money for ship passage to the fringe. But something else was happening. Whispers in the streets, rumors in the markets. People were talking about an Earthborn. A human who killed a Talaxian commander, who destroyed an entire boarding party, who escaped from a fleet of warships. Hannah listened and learned. The story was spreading across the galaxy. Some people didn't believe it. Others thought it was propaganda. But many were afraid. Good, she thought. Let them remember. Let them fear. Meanwhile, far away on a military station, Admiral Tazan was making arrangements. The Talaxian High Command wanted the human found and eliminated. They saw her as a threat to stability. A reminder of a guilty past. Tazan had argued against it. "Leave her alone," he said. "She's one person. She can't hurt us." But the High Command disagreed. One person could inspire others. One person could unite the scattered human survivors, if any existed. One person could restart a war that ended 2 centuries ago. So they called in the hunters. Kale arrived at the military station 3 days later. He was famous in certain circles, the best tracker in the known galaxy. He'd found war criminals hiding in asteroid belts, terrorists buried in colony worlds, pirates lost in the depths of space. He never failed to find his target. Kale was tall and thin, with silver skin that reflected light. His species had excellent vision and could see in multiple spectrums. He could track heat signatures, radiation trails, even the faint disturbances that ships left in space. With him came Yuna, his partner. She was shorter and stockier, built like a fighter. Where Kale tracked, Yuna captured. She specialized in psychological warfare, getting inside the target's head, learning how they thought, predicting their moves. Together, they had never failed a contract. Tazan met them in his office. He showed them the recordings from the Earth ship. Hana killing Vorik, Hana fighting the boarding party, Hana escaping in the pod. Kyle watched without expression. When the recordings ended, he was quiet for a long moment. "She fights like prey that learned to hunt," he said finally. "Efficient. No wasted movement. She uses her opponent's strength against them. Can you find her?" Tazan asked. "Of course," Kyle said simply. Yuna was studying Hana's face in the freeze frame. "She's young," she observed. "Maybe 25 in human years. But her eyes are old, tired." She looked at Tazan. "What do you know about her background?" "Nothing," Tazan admitted. "She appeared on a derelict ship. No records, no identification." "The cryopod," Yuna said. "How long was she in stasis?" Tazan checked his files. "Unknown. The ship's logs were corrupted, but based on the vessel's age, she could have been frozen for decades, maybe a century or more. So she went to sleep in one world and woke up in another," Yuna said softly. "Everyone she knew is dead. Her entire species is extinct. She's completely alone." "Why does that matter?" Tazan asked. "Because it tells me how she thinks," Yuna said. "She's not fighting for revenge. She's fighting to survive, to prove she exists, to make the galaxy remember her people." "That makes her more dangerous," Kale said. "Someone fighting for revenge might make mistakes, get emotional, but someone fighting for survival? They stay rational, careful." "Can you still catch her?" Tazan asked. "Yes," Kyle said. "But it won't be easy. The pod's trajectory took her toward Valen Prime. That's a trade world, millions of people. Easy to disappear." "We tracked the pod's landing site," Tazan said. "A scrapyard on the southern continent." "She won't be there anymore," Yuna said with certainty. "She'll be in the city by now, blending in, gathering resources, planning her next move." "What is her next move?" Tazan asked. Yuna looked at the freeze frame again, at Hana's expression, at something she was holding in the last recording. "She has something, a data chip. See there?" She pulls it out right before the explosion. Kyle enhanced the image. Sure enough, a small chip was visible in Hana's hand. "Coordinates," he said. "Has to be. She's going somewhere specific." "But where?" Tazan asked. "We'll find out," Kyle promised. "We'll track her on Valon Prime, follow her trail, learn where she's going, then we'll catch her." They left that same day. Their ship was fast and well-equipped. They reached Valon Prime in 36 hours. The trail was cold, but not completely dead. Kale picked up traces of her presence. A worker at the scrapyard remembered a small figure in a hood. A food vendor recalled someone who ate like they hadn't had a meal in days. A terminal had been accessed with queries about Earth and the Fringe. "The Fringe," Yuna said, studying the terminal records. "That's where she's going. But it's a huge area. Thousands of star systems. Hundreds of radiation belts and asteroid fields. The chip has specific coordinates," Kyle said. "We just need to find them." They discovered that Hana had purchased passage on a cargo freighter heading to the Fringe. The ship would leave in 2 days. Kale and Yuna booked passage on the same vessel. But Hana was smarter than they expected. She didn't board the freighter. Instead, she left messages, carved into metal, written on walls, subtle signs that only a skilled tracker would notice. The messages were always the same. Short, simple, defiant. You cannot hunt what refuses to be prey. Kale stood in an alley behind the spaceport, looking at the words carved into a cargo container. He smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. "She knows we're coming," he said. "How?" Yuna asked. "She's been watching the spaceport. She saw us arrive, saw us asking questions." Kyle touched the carved words. "She's testing us, seeing if we're worthy opponents." "That's arrogant," Yuna said. "No," Kale corrected. "It's confidence. She's fought and won against overwhelming odds. Now she's Wohana left Valon Prime on a smuggler's ship. It cost her all the money she'd saved, plus a promise to help with cargo loading once they reached the destination." The captain didn't ask questions. He didn't care who she was or where she came from. He only cared about credits. The journey took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of helping load and unload cargo at various stations. 3 weeks of staying quiet and invisible. 3 weeks of looking at the data chip and wondering what she would find at the end. The coordinates led to a radiation belt in the fringe. Most ships avoided the area. The radiation played havoc with sensors and communications. Ships that went in rarely came out. But Hana's mother had given her these coordinates. There had to be something there. "This is as close as I go," the smuggler captain said when they reached the edge of the radiation belt. "That area is death for anyone who enters." "Then I'll go alone," Hana said. The captain laughed. "In what, you don't have a ship?" "I'll take a cargo pod," Hana said. She'd already picked one out. Small, simple, with basic thrusters and life support. "You're crazy," the captain said. But he let her go. One less mouth to feed. Hana sealed herself in the pod and launched into the radiation belt. The pod shook and rattled. Alarms blared. The radiation levels spiked dangerously high. But she kept going, following the coordinates burned into her memory. After 6 hours, she found it. An asteroid, bigger than most, and completely hollow inside. As her pod approached, a concealed door opened in the asteroid's surface. Lights activated inside, showing a docking bay. Hana's heart pounded. This was real. This was something. She landed the pod and climbed out carefully. The air was breathable. The gravity was comfortable. And there were people waiting for her. Human people. They stood in a group, maybe 20 of them. Men and women, young and old, all staring at her like she was a ghost. An older man stepped forward. He had gray hair and kind eyes. "You're Earthborn," he said in English. English, a language Hana had only heard in recordings. "We detected your arrival. We didn't believe it at first." Hana tried to speak but found her throat tight with emotion. She managed to whisper, "How many?" "Here? About 300, the man said. "But there are other colonies, hidden across the fringe. Maybe 5,000 humans total. Maybe more. We don't know for sure. We stay hidden. Stay separated. For safety. My name is Do-hyun," the older man continued. "I'm the elder here. Come, you must be exhausted. There's so much to talk about." They led Hana deeper into the asteroid. It was amazing. They had built a whole community inside. Farms, living quarters, schools, a medical bay, workshops, everything needed to survive. "How long has this been here?" Hana asked. 180 years, Do-hyun said. "Since the fall of Earth. A few ships escaped and found their way here. We've been hiding ever since." "Hiding," Hana repeated. The word tasted bitter. "We have to," Do-hyun said gently. "The galaxy wants us gone. If they knew we existed, they would finish what they started." "They already know," Hana said. "I made sure of that." She told them everything. The derelict ship, Vorik, the boarding party, the escape, the hunters on her trail. The people listening grew more and more agitated. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. "You've doomed us all," someone said from the back, a woman named June. "They'll follow you here. They'll find us." "Good," Hana said. The word came out harder than she intended. "Let them come. Let them see that humans still exist. Let them see that we're not afraid anymore." "But we are afraid," Do-hyun said quietly. "We've spent 2 centuries hiding, teaching our children to be quiet, to be invisible. We've survived by not being noticed." "That's not survival," Hana argued. "That's just slow death. You're already extinct if you never let anyone know you're alive." "She's right," said a younger man named Minseo. He was maybe 30 years old with strong arms and determined eyes. "I'm tired of hiding, tired of being afraid. My grandfather fled Earth. My father was born in this asteroid. I was born here too. For 3 generations we've been prisoners. When does it end?" "When we're safe," Do-hyun said. "We'll never be safe," Minseo countered. "Not as long as we hide. Not as long as we act like we're ashamed of being human. Arguments broke out. Some people agreed with Minseo. Others sided with Do-hyun. Voices rose. Anger flared. Hana watched it all and felt something break inside her. These were her people. The last humans. And they were divided, scared, broken. "Stop," she said quietly. Nobody heard her. "Stop," she shouted. The crowd fell silent. They looked at her. "I understand why you hid," Hana said. "I do. You did what you had to do to survive. That's what humans do. We survive." She walked to the center of the group. "But my mother didn't put me in cryo and send me to certain death just so I could hide in an asteroid forever. She wanted me to live, really live, to be proud of what I am." "That pride killed billions," June said. "No," Hana said firmly. "Fear killed billions. The galaxy's fear of what we could become. They couldn't control us, so they destroyed us." She looked around at all of them. "I spent 3 weeks traveling here, thinking about what I would find, hoping I would find people who remembered what it means to be human." "What does it mean?" Do-hyun asked. "It means we don't give up," Hana said. "Ever, even when the odds are impossible. Even when everyone says we should quit. We keep fighting, keep trying, keep hoping." She touched her chest where the burn scar remained. "I've been shot, burned, nearly killed, but I'm still here, still standing, because that's what humans do." "You're one person," someone said. "What can one person do against the galaxy?" "I don't know yet," Hana admitted. "But I'm going to find out." While they argued, sensors detected ships approaching the radiation belt. 2 ships, small, fast, hunter class. "They found us," the sensor operator reported. Everyone looked at Hana. Fear was plain on many faces. "I brought them here," Hana said. "I'll deal with them." "How?" Do-hyun asked. "The human way," Hana said simply. She spent the next 2 hours preparing. Minseo helped her. So did others who were tired of hiding. They knew the asteroid's layout. The passages, the hiding places, the ambush points. "You're not fighting alone this time," Minseo said. "We're humans too. We've been training, preparing, hoping we'd never have to fight. But if fighting is what it takes to stop hiding, then we'll fight." Hana looked at the dozen volunteers who stood ready. They weren't soldiers. They were farmers and teachers and engineers. But they had the same determined look she saw in her own reflection. "Thank you," she said. Kale and Yuna's ships entered the radiation belt carefully. Their shields protected them from the worst of it. Their sensors picked up the asteroid's energy signature. "Clever," Kale said. "The radiation hides them from long-range scans. We'd never have found this without following her." "It's definitely a trap," Yuna observed. "Without question," Kale agreed. "But we've come this far." They docked at the asteroid's bay. The door closed behind them. They were committed now. Kale and Yuna stepped out of their ships with weapons ready. The bay was empty. Their boots echoed on the metal floor. "Welcome," Hana's voice called from a speaker. "You're very persistent. I admire that." "We're just doing our job," Kale called back. "Come out, make this easy." "Nothing about this is easy," Hana said. "You're in our home now. You're outnumbered, surrounded, and you have no idea what you've walked into." "We're professionals," Yuna said. "We've dealt with worse odds. Have you?" Hana asked. "Have you ever fought humans before?" "No," Kale admitted. "Then you have no idea what you're facing," Hana said. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, painting everything in dim red. Kale and Yuna went back to back, scanning the darkness. Movement in the shadows. "Quick! Multiple targets! Contact!" Yuna shouted. The ambush came from everywhere. Humans dropped from ceiling vents, emerged from behind cargo containers, came through doors that hadn't been visible before. They didn't use guns. They used the environment. Heavy containers dropped from above. Cables stretched across walkways to trip the hunters. Tools became weapons. Kale fired at the nearest attacker. The shot went wide. The human dodged with unnatural speed. Not supernatural, just human. They moved like prey animals running from predators. Fast, unpredictable. But these humans weren't running. They were attacking. Minseo came at Kale with a heavy wrench. The hunter blocked it, but the force surprised him. The human was strong. The wrench came around again. And again. Relentless. Yuna fought 3 humans at once. They coordinated their attacks. When she focused on one, the others struck from different angles. They used teamwork, strategy, intelligence. They're trained. Yuna shouted. "Fall back." Kale ordered. But there was nowhere to fall back to. The humans had sealed the docking bay. The hunters were trapped. Then Hana appeared. She walked out of the shadows like a nightmare made real. Blood covered her hands from a previous fight. Her eyes were cold and focused. "You came to hunt me," she said. "Big mistake," she moved. Kale had seen combat footage of her. He thought he was prepared. He was wrong. Hana was faster in person, stronger, more precise. She disarmed Yuna in 3 moves. She broke Kale's weapon with her bare hands, but she didn't kill them. She could have. They both knew it. Instead, she knocked them down and stood over them. "I'm giving you a choice," Hana said. "You can leave. Right now. Get in your ships and go. Tell your Andy